Welcome to Section 5.1, Part 2. This is the 37th session of the CISSP Exam Prep series. Having seen how governments classify data, we now turn to how private organisations do it and what happens next. In this session, we'll take classification from theory into practice. We'll answer several questions. How do private companies label their data? How do you classify the hardware that holds it? What are the 3 states data lives in? Why must you know which laws apply to you? And how do you turn a classification into real security controls? Why does this matter beyond the exam? Because a label is worthless until it changes what you actually do. Picture a fintech startup that neatly tags its data as private and public, then encrypts nothing. The labels look tidy, but the protection is imaginary. Your real job is the step after sorting, where each classification quietly dictates a different set of defenses. That translation is where security lives. So how do private companies label their data? They rarely think in terms of national security. Instead, they weigh the damage a breach would do to their own mission. A common ladder runs from confidential or proprietary at the top, down through private and sensitive, to public at the bottom. Proprietary sits highest, where a leak would be devastating, like unreleased films escaping before their launch. Public data, by contrast, is meant to be seen, but you still protect its integrity, so nobody can tamper with it. How do you classify the hardware that holds the data? You match the asset to the data it carries. If a server processes proprietary information, that server itself becomes a proprietary asset. The same holds for a drive or a backup tape that stores the data. A clear physical label on the machine reminds everyone what lives inside. So a workstation touching your most sensitive records wears a bold tag announcing exactly that. What are the 3 states your data lives in? Every piece of data is at rest, in transit, or in use. Data at rest sits on drives, tapes, or storage arrays, and strong, symmetric encryption guards it. Data in transit moves across a network, protected by a blend of encryption methods. Data in use lives briefly in memory while an application works on it. So those buffers must be flushed the moment the work is done. Picture an online store pulling a saved card number to complete a checkout. It stays protected while stored, while it travels, and while the app processes it, then the memory is wiped clean. Why must you know which laws apply to you? Because ignorance is no defense when regulators come calling. Every organisation has to learn the rules that govern wherever it operates. This gets tangled fast for anyone selling across borders online. Imagine a 2-person team launches an app that suddenly sells worldwide overnight. Now they owe compliance in places they have never visited. Many organisations appoint a compliance officer just to keep this straight. So how do you turn a classification into real controls? You start from a data security policy and match protection to each label. Say your organisation guards email differently at every level. Public messages can travel in plain text, but everything above public gets strong encryption in transit and at rest. The highest tier piles on extra rules, like blocking forwarding, printing, and copying. A data loss prevention tool can read those labels and enforce the rules automatically. The pattern is simple. Higher value earns stricter handling. So let's bring it together. Private organisations rank data by mission impact, from proprietary down to public. Hardware inherits the rating of the data it holds. Every asset lives in one of 3 states, and each state needs its own protection. Learn the legal duties that follow your data across borders. Then translate each classification into concrete controls so the label finally does real work. Nail this, and the routines in the next section will click into place. The MCQs covering all the topics and concepts from this session are available on rucloud.com. Practice the chapter-specific MCQs before moving on to the next session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below or email us. I will see you in the next session.